My name is Maya. I'm 30 years old, recently divorced, and for the last 3 years I've been living a double life. To everyone else, I was the disappointing daughter. The one my mother joked about. The one she called lost, unmotivated, and not cut out for real adulthood. Behind closed doors, though, I was the reason she still had a roof over her head. For 3 years, I paid my mother's rent in silence. Tonight was supposed to be just another family dinner. Nothing special. A crowded table, too much food, the same recycled stories. I told myself to get through it like I always did, smile, stay quiet, don't give her anything to use against me. But that night, she crossed a line she couldn't walk back from. We were halfway through dinner when my mom laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an awkward one. A confident laugh. She leaned back in her chair, looked straight at me and said loudly, "So tell me, Maya, what does it feel like to be completely useless?" Her voice sliced through the room. Plates paused midair. A few people chuckled uncertainly. Others looked down at their food, pretending they hadn't heard it. For a second, my body reacted before my mind caught up. The familiar urge to shrink, to apologize, to explain myself even though I hadn't done anything wrong. Then something unexpected happened. The feeling passed. I looked at her calmly and said, "It actually feels great, especially since I just stopped paying your rent." Her smile froze. Not cracked. Not faded. It vanished. The room went dead silent. My father's fork slipped from his hand and clinked against his plate. He stared at me like I'd said something illegal. "Rent?" he asked sharply. "What rent?" My mother's eyes darted between us, already searching for a way to twist this back into something manageable. Something she could laugh off. But I didn't give her the chance. "I'm not joking," I said, keeping my eyes on my dad. "For 3 years I've been covering her rent and utilities. Every month. Out of my paycheck. Out of my divorce settlement." The words landed heavy. My dad's face drained of color. "You've been taking money from her?" he asked slowly. "Without telling me?" My mom straightened in her chair, defensive. "Oh please," she scoffed. "She's exaggerating. I needed a little help when my hours were cut. I didn't want to burden you." "A little help?" I repeated. "I paid everything. Because you told me you'd be homeless if I didn't." A murmur rippled through the table. My dad looked stunned. "You told me you were fine," he said. "You said you had it under control." "I did," she snapped. "And now she's trying to humiliate me because she's bitter about her divorce." I met her eyes. "You humiliated me first. You just didn't expect me to stop protecting you." That was the moment I realized something important. This wasn't a spontaneous argument. This wasn't an emotional slip. This was the confrontation I'd been preparing for, carefully, quietly, for months. Because that sentence about being useless? It wasn't the first time she'd said something like that. It was just the first time she'd said it in front of witnesses. After years of living off the daughter she claimed was nothing. And this dinner? This was only the beginning. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this already has you hooked, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below what you would have done in that moment. For a moment after I spoke, no one moved. Not my dad. Not my aunt. Not even my mom. The silence was thick. The kind that presses against your ears until you feel like you need to cough just to break it. My dad was the first to recover. "You're saying," he began slowly, choosing each word like it might explode, "that you've been paying the rent on this apartment by yourself?" "Yes," I said. "Every month. For 3 years." My mom laughed, sharp and defensive. She offered. I never forced her. That lie landed harder than the insult. I pushed my chair back slightly, hands steady on the table. "I offered because you told me you were about to be evicted," I said. "You cried. You said you had no one else. You said if I didn't help, you'd lose everything." My dad turned to her. "You told me your pension covered it." She waved him off. "Oh, don't start. I didn't want to stress you. And besides, Maya had extra money. She wasn't doing anything important with it." That sentence burned. Not because it was new, but because she said it so easily. I felt something inside me finally snap into focus. All those times she'd called me irresponsible. All the jokes about my failed marriage. All the comments about me wasting my life. They weren't concern. They were cover. Because as long as everyone believed I was a mess, no one would ask how she was surviving so comfortably. My aunt cleared her throat. So, Maya, she said carefully, are you saying you've been supporting your mother financially this whole time? I nodded. And paying her utilities, phone, internet, groceries when she came up short. My mom's face hardened. Wow, she said. You really enjoy playing the victim, don't you? That's when my dad stood up. Enough, he said. This isn't about victimhood. This is about honesty. Why didn't you tell me? She crossed her arms. Because you would have said no. The truth dropped like a plate shattering on tile. My dad stared at her. So you hid it, he said quietly. You let our daughter drain herself while you let me believe everything was fine. I didn't feel triumph. I felt exposed. This wasn't the confrontation I'd imagined in my head late at night. There were no clever comebacks. No dramatic victory. Just years of manipulation unraveling in real time. My mom's voice shifted softer now. You know how hard my life has been, she said. After everything I sacrificed for you kids, I interrupted her. No, I said. You don't get to rewrite this. You didn't sacrifice for me. You took from me. Her eyes flashed. How dare you speak to me like that? I looked straight at her. How dare you call me useless while living off my money? That's when she changed tactics. She turned to the table. You all see this, she said. This is what happens when you spoil a child. She thinks money gives her power. My dad shook his head slowly. No, he said. What gives her power is the truth. The room buzzed with quiet murmurs. I felt my chest tighten, but underneath it was something else. Relief. Because the secret was out. I didn't have to protect her anymore. I didn't have to cover for her lies or soften the story, so she could keep her image intact. She looked at me then, not with anger but calculation. If you stop paying, she said coldly, I'll lose this apartment. I didn't hesitate. Then you'll have to talk to your husband about it, I said. Like an adult. Her mouth opened. Closed. She hadn't planned for that answer. And in that moment I realized the truth. She wasn't afraid of losing her home. She was afraid of losing control over me. Before we go further, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this story is hitting close to home, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below what you would have done once the truth came out. The dinner didn't end with shouting. That surprised me. People quietly finished their food. Someone changed the subject. My mom barely spoke. She just sat there stiffly, eyes locked on her plate, already planning her next move. Because that's who she was. If she couldn't control the moment, she'd wait and try again later. I left shortly after. Not in a rush. Not dramatically. I hugged my dad, ignored my mom, and walked out feeling lighter than I had in years. The next morning my phone started ringing before 8 a.m. My mom. I let it go to voicemail. Then again. Then again. By the fourth call I listened. Her voice was calm but brittle. Maya, we need to talk. This is serious. You embarrassed me last night. We'll fix it, but you can't just abandon me. I didn't call back. An hour later she switched tactics. Tears. Panic. Apologies that didn't actually apologize. She said she hadn't realized how hurtful her words were. She said stress made her lash out. She said she never meant to make me feel small. Not once did she say thank you. Not once did she acknowledge the money. By noon the messages turned sharp. If you stop paying, I'll be evicted. You'll be responsible if something happens to me. I hope you can live with yourself. That's when I sent my first and only reply. I've already notified the landlord I won't be covering the rent anymore. You have 60 days. I watched the typing bubble appear. Disappear. Appear again. Then nothing. 2 days later my dad called. His voice sounded older. Tired. She told me you're trying to punish her, he said. I'm not punishing anyone, I replied. I'm stepping out of a role I was never supposed to be in. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something I never expected. She never should have taken your money. I should have seen it. That was the closest thing to validation I'd ever get from him. A week later my mom showed up at my apartment. No warning. No call. I opened the door and immediately regretted it. She pushed past me, eyes wild, voice shaking. You think you're better than me now? She snapped. Because you have money? I closed the door behind her and stood my ground. I think I deserve respect, I said. And I'm done paying to earn it. She laughed bitterly. You wouldn't survive without family. I smiled softly. I already did. She didn't cry this time. She didn't yell. She just stared at me like she was finally seeing a stranger. And maybe she was. She left without another word. Over the next 2 months, reality hit her hard. She had to downsize, cancel things, ask other relatives for help. Some said no. Some asked questions. The story she'd told for years, that her daughter was irresponsible and unreliable, started to fall apart under scrutiny. Meanwhile, my life stabilized in ways I hadn't expected. I slept better. I saved money for myself. I stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. Therapy helped me name what I'd lived with. Emotional abuse wrapped in obligation. I learned that love doesn't require self-erasure. My mom and I barely speak now. Short messages. Holidays with distance. Boundaries that finally exist. She still tells people she doesn't understand what went wrong. I do. What went wrong was that I stopped being useful. And what went right was that I finally chose myself. If you've ever been called useless by someone living off your effort, if you've ever paid for peace with your own well-being, let this be your reminder. Walking away isn't cruelty. It's clarity. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this story meant something to you, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below.